Shabbos, everyone. In the past 6 weeks, we have embarked on a journey trying to replace the irreplaceable Rabbi Stephen Morgan. As he steps into retirement, it is a very daunting task. Our Rabbinical Search Committee, chaired by our board treasurer, Donna Katz, has reviewed many applicants. And at this time, I would like to recognize the members of our search committee who have dedicated countless hours in helping Beth Yeshurun with this search. So bear with me for just a moment. They are Gail Abrams and Corby Kelly, Dana and Josh Tillis, Brittany and Jared Dubin, Lydia and Benjamin Musher, Stephanie and Jason Cole, Ariel Perlman and Robert Johnson, Amira and Brad Stoller, and Abby and Tom Ackerman. These are our voices and leaders for tomorrow. So we thank all of them for their time and commitment to making the right decisions. We are the largest conservative synagogue in the country. I keep telling y'all that, and I'll say it again. Beth Yeshurun is a really great gig. Tonight, our special guest is Rabbi David Mendelson. And Rabbi Mendelson graduated from the Ziegler School in Los Angeles in 2023 and grew up in the great state of Georgia and is a proud graduate of Kennesaw State University. He is currently the Associate Rabbi at Hamacon in West Hills, California. And before joining Hamacon, David served as a rabbinic intern at Temple Aliyah in Georgia. Rabbi Mendelson is a dedicated and innovative rabbi with a strong commitment to community building, social action, and Jewish education. He is passionate about fostering inclusive spaces for engagement, learning, and spiritual growth across all age groups. Rabbi Mendelson discovered his passion for Jewish education through a birthright trip and went on to teach students at Camp Ramah and the Weber School. He is equally dedicated to adult education as well, having designed and facilitated diverse learning opportunities to engage his community members in Torah study and contemporary Jewish thought. Rabbi Mendelson works closely with B'nai Mitzvah students to help them craft their Devar Torah and gain confidence in leading services. And we know sometimes that can be kind of hard. He worked with college students on panel discussions on anti-Semitism and assisted in providing a safe place for these discussions in American universities. Rabbi Mendelson joins us this weekend with his lovely wife, Sarah. So I would love if you would take some time this weekend to introduce yourselves to them, get to know them a bit, and just get to learn about David and Sarah. And remember to take a few moments on Sunday to complete the survey and let us know your thoughts and suggestions. They're important to us all. And now, please join me in welcoming to the pulpit Rabbi David Mendelson.
Shabbat Shalom. It's a hot summer night in New York City. 12 men are seated in the jury box as they listen to the judge. You've heard a long and complex case. Murder in the first degree. Premeditated homicide is the most serious charge tried in our criminal court. You've listened to the testimony, and you've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to sit down to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, a reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case. I don't envy your job. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen. These 12 men hold the fates of an 18-year-old charged with murdering his abusive father. The case seems pretty straightforward. There's an eyewitness to the murder. Other witnesses testify to the circumstances and the motive. The jurors are eager to return a guilty vote. This better be fast. I got tickets to a ball game tonight, Yanks Cleveland. Let's vote. Who knows, maybe we can all go home. They begin voting. 7 or 8 hands immediately go up for guilty, followed by several others a little bit more slowly. Then we come to juror number 8, played by Henry Fonda. If you haven't guessed, this is 12 Angry Men, which somehow I had never seen until just a couple of weeks ago, even though I am a cinephile and obsessed with film. But now I've seen it. Henry Fonda slowly raises his hand for not guilty. So what do we do now? One of the jurors asks. Well, I guess we talk, said Fonda. Do not follow the crowd to do evil. When you give a testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd, our Parsha tells us. 12 Angry Men, juror number 8, could not follow the crowd and vote guilty. A conversation needed to happen. He needed to speak his mind. We are called to not follow the majority if we believe that the majority view will lead to injustice. Rashi and his grandson, Rashbam, they teach us that if in our opinion, our fellow judge's decision is an unjust one, we shall not side with them even if we know that people will follow the majority and they're not going to believe us. We shall not say, since they're the majority, it's just easier for me to just side with them and to forget about my own opinion. Bechor Shor, a 12th century French commentator, he adds that we should always say what we think. For the majority, they might change their mind if we speak ours. This is exactly how the film 12 Angry Men played out. Juror number 8 stood up. He shared his opinion when everyone else was urging him to just follow the majority. There's a good baseball game tonight, and I have great seats. And at first, he stood alone. But then 95 minutes later, after many heated debates and votes, the majority changed their mind. But we know it's not easy to stand alone. It's not easy to be the only one in a room to have a different opinion. The Talmud teaches us that in a case involving the death penalty, the chief judge should not express their opinion first. If they were to say the defendant is guilty, the other judges would not want to contradict them. We therefore begin deliberations by hearing the opinion of the junior judges. We also learn in the Talmud that a judge must not simply repeat the majority opinion, but they must express their own opinion if most of the others disagree. Our opinions are important, and we should never feel intimidated. If we disagree, if we have an alternative opinion, our tradition tells us that we must express it. And this goes beyond court cases, beyond judges, beyond jurors. All of us are called upon to be honest with ourselves and with those that we interact with. If we disagree, our sages tell us that we have an obligation to state our opinion. Rav Kook, the first Ashkenazi chief rabbi in the land of Israel, teaches us there are those who err thinking that world peace will not be built except by means of one form in points of view and qualities. Therefore, when they see students of Torah scholars inquiring wisdom and the knowledge of Torah, and by means of their searching, the perspectives and approaches multiply, they believe that thus cause argument in the opposite of peace. Yet truthfully, this is not so. For the true peace cannot come into this world except by means of the value of a peace of many faces. A peace of many faces means that all sides and all approaches are seen and heard. And it becomes clear how there is a place for all of them, each one according to its worth, its place, and its content. Arguments, conversation, it's how we progress. Arguments allow us to open our minds and to view other sides. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory taught, "In heaven there is truth. On earth there are truths." Each person knows something that no one else does. The sages said, "Who is wise? One who learns from all." The wisest is not one who knows themselves wiser than others. They are the one who knows all human beings have some share of the truth, and that we are willing to learn from them. For none of us knows all the truth, and each of us knows some of it. We don't create peace if we all think, if we all act the same. We create peace by opening our hearts, our minds, and our souls to the other. Our sages and modern scholars, they encourage us to not fall into the groupthink trap. The concept of groupthink was defined by Yale University research psychologist Irvin Janis in 1971, quote, as a mode of thinking that people in a group engage in where striving for unanimity overrides the motivation to realistically appraise alternative courses of action. In a situation that can be characterized as groupthink, individuals tend to refrain from expressing doubts and judgments or disagreeing with the consensus. In the interest of making a decision that furthers their group cause, members may also ignore ethical or moral consequences. There are 3 categories of groupthink, he said. Number 1, overestimation of the group. Number 2, closed-mindedness. And 3, pressure towards uniformity. If we go back to 12 Angry Men, and if you have not seen the film, it's available for free with commercials on Pluto TV or any of those sites. Check it out. So if we go back 12 Angry Men, we see that the jurors they're overconfident in their decision to the point where they're upset and they're unwilling at first to hear the arguments of the lone dissenting juror number 8. The jurors are closed-minded. In one scene, juror number 10 goes on a tirade about how it should be obvious of the boy's guilt due to his upbringing in the slums. Of course he's guilty. Look where he grew up. As Henry Fonda told him, prejudice always obscures the truth. And peer pressure, the final category of groupthink, played a key role in the beginning of the film. As the 11 jurors attack Fonda for not agreeing with them in a way that seems personal rather than forming a rational argument. Groupthink is dangerous, as it triggers decisions that are not ideal or that ignore critical information. We see this play out in the first act of 12 Angry Men. 11 of the jurors ignore critical information. They desire to be uniform in their decision, pressuring each other and showing their closed-mindedness. Till Henry Fonda takes out the switchblade and he stabs it in the table. It's the exact same knife that the boy supposedly used murdering his father. Henry Fonda bought that knife just down the street, even though they claimed in the courts there was no other knife that ever existed that looked like that. Henry Fonda, juror number 8, he was not influenced by groupthink. He chose to contribute his own thoughts without feeling the pressure to conform. This led him to open his minds, to open the minds and the hearts of the remaining 11 jurors. We, all of us here or watching on the live stream or all over the world, we are called to be juror number 8. We are called to be Henry Fonda. We're asked to not feel the pressure to simply follow the majority if we disagree, but to share our views on the matter. We're called to stand up, to raise our voices for justice. We're all entitled to our own viewpoint, our own opinion. Our individual voices, they matter. All of us matter. We need to be heard, and all of our voices need to be accepted as valid. We cannot follow the majority if we don't agree with their decision. We are all unique, all made B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. God does not want us to think the same. That's not the way to peace. Do not follow the crowd to do evil. When you give testimony in a lawsuit, do not pervert justice by siding with the crowd. The sages taught us that one who sees multitudes of Israel, all of us here sitting in this sanctuary tonight, what do we say? Blessed who knows all secrets. Why is this the blessing when we see a room filled with our fellow Jews? We offer up this blessing because God sees a whole nation whose minds are unlike each other and whose faces are unlike each other. Rav Shlomo Iger explained that we would never become exasperated or disturbed that someone's facial features are different than ours. We wouldn't condemn or criticize someone for having different colored eyes or different colored hair than we do. We implicitly recognize that everyone is created differently. And it's our differences that weave the wonderful tapestry of our interconnected lives. Similarly, we should recognize that everyone's opinions are the result of being created different, raised differently. Just as someone is entitled to look different, so too are they entitled to think differently, approach things differently without harsh disapproval or condemnation. There should be no pressure to fit in. Instead, our sages ask us to stand out. When we zoom out, when we move away from the model of groupthink and we embrace individuality, we're able to see beyond our own subjectivity, and we can be empathetic towards other viewpoints. When we finish our Amidah prayer, which we just did a few moments ago, we recite the words, Oseh Shalom B'Imromav, God, please bring peace. We turn to the right, and we turn to the left. Rabbi Menachem ben Zion Zaks, he explains that achieving peace and harmony means bowing towards those on the right of us and those on the left of us, not just straight ahead in our own path. It's an empty pathway. Maintaining the capacity and the will to bow towards those on the right and left of us, whether religiously, politically, and in every other way, that is the prerequisite to the peace that we claim that we desperately seek and yearn for. As my favorite Beatle wrote and sang, George Harrison, although your mind's opaque and you've got time to rectify all the things that you should, do what you want to do and go where you're going to. Think for yourself. The path towards peace is the path of not falling into groupthink. To not feel pressured to be uniform and follow the majority because it's easier or we want to go see the Astros play. The path towards peace is to think for ourselves, to share our opinions, to open our minds and to encourage others to open theirs. This is the path that our ancestors followed. This is the path that our sages walked. And this is the path that we are asked to follow. Shabbat Shalom.
David, thank you. Thank you for teaching us so much, and a very important reminder in this day and age and what we as Americans and our political climate, a beautiful message with great wisdom from our Jewish tradition.